if I told you that the biggest decision Peter Obi will ever make is not about winning the presidency? What if I told you the real battle is whether he will become a president in history or a footnote in someone else's ambition? Because right now, behind closed doors, a deal is being whispered, and if it happens, it may quietly end the Southeast's strongest political movement in decades without a single vote being cast. Something strange is happening in Nigeria politics, and it is not being discussed loudly enough. ADC insiders are now openly saying something many people suspected but few admitted. The ticket was supposed to go to an Igbo man, but it was given to Atiku from the north. At the same time, ADC insists they will not zone their tickets, and suddenly, rumors begin to spread. Pressure is mounting on Peter Obi to accept Vice President to Atiku. Coincidence, or is this the oldest political playbook in Nigeria being reopened once again? Let us slow this down. When a party insider says the ticket was meant for an Igbo man, that is not a slip of tongue. That is a confession. It tells us three things. 1. The Southeast was considered, but not trusted. 2. Zoning was discussed, then quietly abandoned. 3. The final decision was not about competence, structure, or ideas. It is about comfort. And in Nigeria politics, comfort almost always flows northward. Now, when ADC says, we will not zone, it sounds dramatic on the surface. But let us be honest. In Nigeria, no zoning is not neutrality. No zoning is not default advantage, because population, elite networks, security influence, historical power grip are not evenly distributed. So when zoning disappears, who benefits? Now let's talk about the most dangerous part of this story. The renewed call for Peter Obi to accept Vice President. Listen carefully. This is not about unity. This is not about balance. This is not about competence. It is about containment. Peter Obi today does not represent a faction. He represents a movement that broke traditional voting patterns, terrified old alliances, proved that ethnic politics can be disrupted, mobilized youths without godfathers, and movements are dangerous unless you neutralize them. How do you neutralize a movement? You don't fight it head on. You absorb its leader. You turn fire into the coalition. You give him a seat without power. Let us be brutally honest about the vice presidency in Nigeria. The VP does not control security, does not control party machinery, does not control succession, does not inherit power by default. A strong VP is only strong if the president allows it. History is clear. Loyal VPs are forgotten. Popular VPs are sidelined. Ambitious VP are neutralized. Now ask yourself, if Peter Obi accepts VP today, who controls 2027? Not him. Because once again, the conversation will be, let's balance again. Let's return power. Let's not provoke instability. And once again, he will be told to wait. Here is what many elites still don't understand. Peter Obi's power is not Peter Obi. It is obedient movement. It is young people who donated without inducement, volunteered without contracts, defended votes without weapons, voted without tribal instruction. This is not a structure you can transfer. If Obi accepts VP, some supporters will feel betrayed. Others will disengage quietly. The fire cools. The momentum dies. And once a movement loses belief, it does not come back the same. Now let us address the elephant in the room. Peter Obi is quiet. Many say he is confused. He is calculating. He is under pressure. But silence does not always mean weakness. Sometimes silence means you see the trap. You understand the costs. You know history is watching, because Obi has seen this movie before. He was once a VP candidate. He knows how quickly relevance can disappear. Right now, Obi stands before three doors. Door 1, accept VP, short-term access, long-term erasure, a quiet barrier of an independent movement. Door 2, insist on presidency, high resistance, high sabotage, but historic legitimacy. Door 3, walk away, be called stubborn, be called unrealistic, but retain privilege, dignity, and the future power. History does not reward comfort, it rewards charity. This is no longer just about Peter Obi, it is about Nigeria answering one uncomfortable question. Can the Southeast ever be trusted with full power or only with deputy seats? Because every time the moment arrives, the conversation shifts, the rules change, the promises evaporate, and the same offer returns. Take VP. Peter Obi is calculating, yes, but not calculating votes. He is calculating legitimacy, whether he becomes another brilliant deputy in history books or the man who refused to be used as political decoration. Because sometimes the bravest move in politics is not to accept a seat at the table, but to flip the table over and ask, why is my seat always temporary? If Peter Obi accepts vice president today, will Nigeria gain unity, or will it quietly lose its last real chance at political disruption? What do you think?